Today in Sacred Spaces, we travel once again to Western Australia to take a look at medium density living at its best. We travel to Botanical Apartments by Hillam Architects in the inner suburb of Subiaco. Let's take a look inside.
So this is Botanical Apartments, which Jackson was responsible for building. It's a 74 apartment complex project in Subiaco, and it's something we're really proud to have been involved in. It was, as far as apartment developments go in Perth and Western Australia, it really is a game changer. It offers a level of amenity and lifestyle that's not really typical of the other apartment buildings that people in Perth, I suppose, would have come to have known, and you know, in our role as a builder of numerous apartments in Perth, we don't come across a development like this all that often.
So what's unique about it?
I suppose there's four main elements that are unique about this building. It's definitely the level of amenity provided, particularly on this rooftop area. You know, you've got resort-like facilities, sauna, spa, dining room, 25-metre lap pool, extensive landscaping, and that'd be the other element of this building that really stands out, not just on the rooftop, but to the full extent of the building, all the lobby areas, the external facade. There's mature trees everywhere, there's extensive landscaping. It really sort of engages with its environment adjacent to the park just next door. The other thing that really sticks out is the attention to detail, to the areas that generally are forgotten about on a lot of apartment buildings. You know, I touched on the facade before, the level of detail with the facade, the curved anodised gold screens, the planter boxes to all the balconies, the climbing and creeping plants, and even the lobby areas internally in the building. Generally you go into an apartment building and those lobby areas are quite stark, or they're somewhat forgotten about. Not here. There's extensive finishes throughout. Once again, landscaping and a lot of sort of feature lighting to accentuate those features.
What sort of feedback have you had?
Yeah, well, feedback's been really good. This building is a multiple award winner for us and for the developer and the architect. From our point of view, it took out the Master Builders WA Excellence in Construction Awards for the apartment category, $20 to $50 million. So yeah, I suppose in terms of industry and peer feedback, it's really well respected, and in my dealings as business development manager with other developers and architects around town, it always comes up in conversation around, I suppose, how this is such an exceptional development and a demonstration of what good apartment living can be.
I'm here at the Communal Lounge with David Hillam, Director of Hillam Architects and Edge Visionary Living. David, why don't you tell us what's instigated this project? What was the ethos behind developing such an extraordinary apartment complex?
That's a good question, Beata. I think that we've been involved as architects in developments for over 15 years, but it's only recently as a co-owner in Edge that we've really been able to take this to the next level. Our motivation as architects in getting involved in development is that it really allows us to have more control on the actual final outcome, as opposed to some other work where that's sometimes more difficult.
So on a personal level, what sort of ethos or cultural drive has influenced how you designed this space and how you sort of modelled the financial outcome of it?
What we've really tried to do is take our experience from designing high-end houses and replicate that to a certain degree, because we know that people are looking to downsize out of those houses. So we're really conscious that the lifestyle of our clients as individual house owners, how do we replicate that in an apartment building? And what we saw in the current marketplace is that there were a lot of other projects that really weren't doing that. And what we found with Botanical is that we were able to actually convince those owners that this was a sort of building that they wanted to be in, because it was design-led, and it was very much focused on the expectations that normal clients that we would design for would expect. So it was more of a bespoke design process that was focused on individual sort of requirements and flexibility.
Yeah, okay. I imagine that that sort of downsizer demographic, what they look for, is quite different to the people buying into the market. And in terms of their lifestyle and the amount of time they're going to spend in the homes versus people that are, you know, at the start of their careers.
Absolutely. I think that what we've really found is that demographic, they're really conscious of trying to replicate their lifestyle. So what they're used to is entertaining on large blocks. They've got outdoor areas, sometimes they've got pools and so forth. So we've really tried to replicate that and then create the convenience that it's been looked after by others. And also I think in an apartment building, the efficiency of having all of these things is shared amongst, you know, a much larger group. So although this is a more premium development, the value that it actually brings to those people, that demographic and the downsizers, I think is excellent, because they've been used to maintaining you know, large properties and all of the work that actually goes with that. What I've noticed in Perth is that there's been a reluctance of people that have been living in large homes to move because they haven't been able to see where they can actually replicate what they've become used to.
Yeah, that's right. I can definitely see the benefits of sort of coming into the resort type lifestyle that is being replicated here. And it's certainly something that's been working for you very well in terms of that innovation of developing and designing and selling the design of architecture into that demographic. And you've certainly been very successful in a very hard economic time here in Western Australia.
And I think that's the trick. Interestingly, I guess people that have owned homes, they do have good equity in those homes, so they do have the capacity to move. In fact, many of them are actually looking to cash out of their properties so that they can do things in retirement such as travel and so forth. So I think that that's why our projects have been successful. But what's been really pleasing is that we've had clients that we designed houses for 15 years ago who've bought into this building, and in fact you know, we were able to talk to them about the same sort of issues that we spoke to them back then, and they felt really comfortable moving into Botanical because they understood the sort of quality and the attention to detail that they were going to get.
That's certainly very positive feedback from return customers from going from one style of living to another.
Yes, and I think a lot of it is about confidence because with apartment development, there's often a lot of glossy brochures, and the question is are you going to get what you see in the brochures? And I think I can say that the feedback that we've had is that the details that they didn't know about actually have exceeded expectations. So we see that very much as a part of the brand of the architectural business and a duty that we have to really deliver on expectations and make sure that the quality and the attention to detail is there.
I'm here with Felipe Soto, Design Director of Hillam Architects. Felipe, there certainly seems to be an abundance of communal areas at this complex that have a very resort-like, luscious feel. Can you please tell us a bit about the amenity that you've designed into the complex?
Yeah, I guess that before we got into the detail of the sort of amenities that we're offering within the building, I guess that I would just go back to the basics and just mention the sort of reference to the park. And I guess that we have created in here on top of the building just a park that just creates a connection to the existing sort of landscape around the site. In terms of the offering that we develop through the sort of design discussions with our client, we are providing a 25 meters pool facing north, capturing all those views, which seems to be a unique sort of feature for the development. And we have created smaller sort of sections where people can come together on the roof. We've got an outdoor cinema, theater that just offers that sort of additional amenity for the residents. We got a series of barbecue spaces that allow small groups within the community to come together, and obviously a sort of really sophisticated dining and lounge space that allows for residents just to expand that sort of lifestyle that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's unique in this apartment complex, and you can definitely feel the botanical theme as you move throughout. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about some of the detailing and how that theme's been captured in the interiors?
Yeah, sure. Something that we did through the building is we are taking that sort of theme of the botanical sort of approach, again, as I mentioned before, inspired by the location. And we have taken that sort of thing across different sort of elements. So we got a lot of concrete work happening that we developed with local artists. That's something that we feel really proud as a designers working with the local industry to bring different creative minds to the equation and just develop great designs. We also work with local design makers and furniture designers just to again reinforce that sort of WA sort of thing and botanical sort of things through the different sort of elements of the building.
That's very patriotic, celebrating West Australian craftsmanship and West Australian design, and it's definitely successful.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the rest of it. David, tell us a little bit about the diversity of the product that's on offer here and the demographic that the development was pitching for.
Well, we have a diverse range of product. There's 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom apartments. I guess certainly we were pitching to people that were downsizing out of houses, but we were actually really surprised to the extent that that occurred in the sense that most of our buyers, in fact, live within about a 3-kilometre radius, which is really unusual for an apartment building. Our demographic average age was about 65, so we actually have some people that clearly are quite elderly in the building, and it's great that they can become a part of a wider community as a part of moving into an apartment building.
Yeah, and definitely helps you sort of age in place and gain some of that amenity that's usually offered in a larger property through the common areas.
Yeah, absolutely. And really interesting, I think that really did appeal to people because we have such a high percentage of owner-occupiers. Almost 95% of the building is owner-occupied, and that's a trend that we actually hadn't seen with other buildings that we've designed.
So would you say that this development is a great example of medium density housing and sort of demonstrates the benefit that it can bring to the broader community in the heart of Subiaco?
We really hope it does. We think it acts as an exemplar to other projects, and certainly we're aiming to emulate that with other projects that we're doing, but we've had fantastic feedback.
Yeah, and definitely with planning reform, very much a hot topic in West Australia at the moment. This is a really good reference point for policymakers with regards to what medium density can bring to our urban environments.
I agree, and I think that there's no doubt that people are starting to understand that density is a good thing and that it really activates and brings vitality to precincts. And in fact, that's a better way to live because, in fact, sometimes living closer creates a tighter community and a greater interaction. And the spaces that we've designed here are really aiming to do that, to promote interaction. And we've been really pleased in that the people who've moved into the building have taken a lot of initiative to get to know each other, and they're doing things on weekends and booking spaces collectively.
That's wonderful. Those accidental meetings and how they've been designed and incorporated into the architecture and into the planning is definitely great, especially to tackle some of the loneliness issues that our older demographic and older generations are facing in today's world. So well done for that, David.
Thank you.
Felipe, so we're here at the Sky Bridge on level 4. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the layering of the botanical theme and how that's influenced these communal atrium spaces?
Well, what we proposed for the building was to just continue that sort of theme through the building. The sort of expression of the building on the outside being translated on the inside, but they create sort of continuous sort of approach with these sort of different sort of layers that make a reference to the parkland. So that the gold banding, the last sort of sections of landscape, the introduction of a lot of natural light to the sort of common spaces that you find inside the building. Something that is critical for us is trying to just change the sort of misconception about residents and apartment living and the way that these sort of residents can experience the common areas. And I guess that what we have found is that natural ventilation, a lot of natural light is just a first step to start changing these sort of misconceptions about residential living.
Felipe, so we're here at the park at the base of the Botanical Apartments. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the connection between the park and the apartments, how that influenced the theme and some of the envelope and that master planning?
So I guess that what we have done is we have celebrated the location through a series of different sort of elements in the building. The gold banding, the trellis sort of structures, and those sort of different elements that are going to allow residents to connect with the park and the location quite in a really strong sort of way. Then we moved that sort of experience to the public space that we created in between two buildings in here, and created a sort of different sort of lobby sort of experience when people arrive to the building and go through the atrium sort of space. And we have been just consistent, bringing the same sort of layering that we created on the outside to the building to the inside.
So how has, I can definitely see how the park becomes an extension of the amenity of the Botanical Apartments. How has, I guess, the facade and the motif been influenced by this?
So I guess that what we have picked up from the location is the sort of texture and the different sort of layers that you find in nature. Yeah. So what we have done is we have created a series of banding or gold bandings into the building that pick up in the sort of branches of a tree. And then we have introduced the color to just create that sort of balance between the green coming from the existing landscape and our building, and then the pattern and the perforation as a sort of reference to a floral sort of pattern that again is just a reference to the theme of the project with the botanical sort of language and consistent sort of theme going on in the project.
Today at Botanical Apartments, we discovered what a good close relationship between developer and architect can bring, the type of innovation and high quality product that can be achieved. So thank you for joining me. I'm Beata Davey and you've been watching Sacred Spaces.